Hey Beauts, welcome back to day 2 of 31 days of Halloween here on Pretty Scary, the channel where I create budget-friendly, easy to follow tutorials for you to try at home. Now today we have Pennywise, and this video is going to be in 2 parts because I actually made a prosthetic mouth for this, and the video is just going to be way too long if I put the prosthetic mouth making along with the application. So if you'd like to know how to make the mouth, stay watching. You'll need a face cast, some cotton wool, some latex, some tools, whatever you have to hand, and a little pot and a spoon. And if you don't have a face cast, incidentally, you can mould this either directly on your face, although it does take a long time to dry, so you'll have to make it a little bit smaller, or you could mould it on one of those styrofoam heads, or even a bowl. It won't fit your face as well, but it will work. Anyway, first thing you want to do is build up a base for the top lip with a little bit of cotton wool. Just use some latex on your finger to just stick that to your face cast or whatever you're moulding this on. And then decant a little bit of the latex into another container, you'll need this later, and start making your latex paste. Thank you to Ellie Max for this little technique. I will link their channel down below if you've not checked them out. They have some really cool character makeups on their channel and they're really entertaining. Anyway, so mix little bits of flour until you get kind of a thick porridgey consistency. Just mix a little bit at a time and mix thoroughly, and then you should get the correct consistency. And then start to smooth that over the top of your cotton wool piece. Use that latex you decanted earlier to dip your fingers into and smooth the surface of the latex. If you try and smooth it without first dipping your fingers or your tools into the latex, you will find that your fingers or the tools will just stick and drag. So you do need to dip it into the latex in order to smooth it out. So just smooth it into the shape that you want and smooth it into the face cast so that you've got some nice fine edges for your prosthetic. And then just start building up the chin or the lower lip area in exactly the same way. Now this latex paste is a little bit fiddly to use. It takes a little while to get used to, so you might have to do a couple of trial runs. But just keep at it and just be patient. If you don't want to use this technique, you can also do the same thing with just latex and cotton wool. But the latex paste, the beauty of this is that you can shape it a little bit more finely than you can the latex and cotton wool, and you can also stick your teeth in a little bit easier, which you will see later on. Now, you saw the tools that I showed you earlier. I have quite a weird motley crew selection of tools, but I just wanted to show you that you can use whatever you have to hand. So yeah, anyway, just keep shaping and smoothing until you have the desired mouth shape. And then it's onto the teeth. So you'll need some boiling water and you'll also need some polymorph plastic. I will link down below to where I got mine from. You can actually buy it off the Ellie Max website. This is the channel that I spoke about earlier. You pour the little balls into freshly boiled water and then it softens and then you can mould it. Very quickly realised that a metal receptacle would keep the water a lot warmer, so keep the balls a lot more melted. Anyhow, back on to making the teeth. After melting a lot more balls, I then continued making the teeth much more successfully. All you need to do is just pull a strand of the polymorph plastic and then you'll get a nice sharp edge, and then just break it off and form the top of the teeth and Bob's your uncle. So you just want to make a whole bunch of these, and then once you have done that, it sets really quickly. You just want to stick your teeth into your prosthetic mouth. Now you'll see it's quite easy to stick them into the bottom because they just go straight into that latex paste, which is what I mentioned earlier. When it came to the top, because there was the cotton wool underneath, that was stopping the teeth pushing in. So what I did there was just use a little bit of latex on the end of the teeth and then just stuck them to the top, and then just dabbed on a little bit more latex with the end of my spatula. You can just make that top lip purely with latex paste, but the reason I did it with cotton wool was to make it a little bit more flexible so that I could move the mouth a little bit more. But if you prefer just to make it with latex paste so it's easy to stick the teeth in, then you can do. Right, so once that was done, I left it to dry overnight, and then I used some alcohol paints to colour it. If you have water-based paints, they'll work also, and you can also use makeup if that's all you have. So I just mixed up a nice yellowy tone and just painted that onto the base of Pennywise's teeth, because he wouldn't have nice clean white teeth. Oops. No problem if any of your teeth fall out, not your literal teeth obviously, but the teeth out your Pennywise mouth, then just put a little bit of latex on there and stick it in and dry it with a hairdryer to set the latex quickly. Once the teeth were all painted and looking suitably nasty, I then went on to painting the mouth using a red tone. It's actually a little bit fiddly trying to get around the teeth, but it's doable as long as you use a nice fine brush. I then used a black tone to just deepen the edges of the mouth a little bit. And then using Clown White by Snazaroo, I just stippled this over to create the nice clown coloured face. Once I'd finished stippling this over, I then brushed some baby powder on it just to set the makeup. You can also use white paint if you prefer. The only problem with that is it can crack a little bit, so that's why I use this cream-based paint. For the finer edges, I used a brush and then just blotted over with the sponge to get the same texture. Once the paint job is complete, it's time to take your prosthetic piece off your face cast or whatever you've been moulding it on. So just find an edge and use plenty of powder on that edge, because latex has a nasty habit of sticking to itself. So make sure you powder as you go and take your time so that you don't rip any or damage any areas of your prosthetic. It did take around 15 minutes, I'd say, to remove this, so you just need to be patient with it. And I just cut away any excess latex inside of the mouth, and then I just painted in behind the teeth a little bit of black just to add a little bit of depth, just for a final finishing touch. And then we are done with making the prosthetic piece, and it is on to the application. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and I will see you in the application video. Love you all. Oh, and also don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already.